So, good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the WoT Pro League Season 3, Match Day 9. Obviously, I am Lauren Pansy Scott. I am joined by the lovely, well, Laughter WoT, and we do have Melly in the sides. Do not fear, we'll bring her in a bit. But we do have some great games coming up for you. And, well, what a way to kick things off. It's going to be Odem Mortis up against Playing Ducks, and then following that, Mouse Sports against Evil Panda Squad. Two incredible games, meaning a hell of a lot towards the way the league is starting to kind of prepare itself towards that middle section. It's getting really into those heated games that can define hell of a lot. So let's have a little check-in with the rankings, actually, and see exactly what's going down there at the moment, because there's been a lot of changes. Now, obviously, right at the top there, new king on the throne, it's Team Dignitas, 6-1 record at the moment, really picking up the victories, looking like they're kind of getting into the season now. Had a bit of a shaky start, as did Virtus, though, so we can't say much against that, but obviously they're kind of getting back into the swing of things. Denova Gaming, the team you always tip to kind of step up, also doing really well for themselves, 5-2, and then Virtus, 5-2 as well in third. But I've got to point something out here, which you actually mentioned to me, because obviously I was missing on the last play day. You guys might have noticed at home we had Steven in my chair. We've had to kind of scrub it clean as he, oof. But anyway, it's the fact that, you know, the likes of the teams we're seeing today, like Odem Mortis, actually aren't in that top 3 position anymore. They were first for a good long bit of time. And now they're all the way down in 8th. What happened there?
I think they had a really good start to their season. You know, they had quite a few changes here and there, and their roster gave them that initial boost, but then they kind of settled back down into things, maybe had some troubles going further into the season. I think, honestly, they're going to pick themselves back up again, but it's just that first win against Team Dignitas that was really like their defining point. It was like first match day, they won it, and then they just carried on winning off the back of that momentum. But from there on out, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly why they're down in 8th, but I think they're going to sit in that top 6 very soon, if not today. Yeah,
they had some tough games against Denova and Kazna. They were the last two, and they lost to them both. Yeah, which is a little bit surprising to me, because I always feel on paper Odem Mortis are above that kind of marker. But you know, shaky games happen, and it can affect a lot of teams. But anyway, Mouse Sports against Evil Panda Squad as well. Mouse Sports down in 9th. It's a really strange sight to be seeing. Spale picking it up, Kazna up there as well, and obviously Evil Panda Squad slightly quiet at the moment in 7th.
Yeah, they're sitting quite far down. I didn't really expect them to sit so far down. And what they're going to do really for now is just say, okay, we took 2nd at Gamescom. Let's just knuckle down. I mean, Evil Panda Squad never really sit in that top 3.
Yeah, but they're always in that top 6.
They're
normally,
in that top 6,
I mean?
but then 7th is not that far away. It's not like it's not a massive jump to make to that top 6. And I think they're going to do it. I honestly think Odem Mortis, Evil Panda Squad are going to be in the top 6 as we head to towards the middle and the end of the season. But they just need to get the results at the end of the day. And Kazna Crew, okay, they did beat Odem Mortis, and I think they are improving as a team, especially with Crux, one of their new team members for this season. Yeah. And it's no discredit to Kazna Crew. I mean, they got their 3rd place at Gamescom, and they're just going to continue improving. Honestly, really happy to see that team going forwards. Really, the matchup I want to see is Kazna Crew against Denova, because I think in terms of just skill and general synergy, it's those two which are the closest. Yeah,
I always do look at Kazna, and they're always a dangerous side. It's very easy to underestimate them, and the same with Spale, though. So it's getting quite close here on the rankings, as you can see, guys. Obviously, you can check it out yourselves on the WoTProLeague.com site. Make sure you get involved on that, because there's a hell of a lot up there. You've got all the VODs on there, you've got all the teams. You might as well have a little look through and check out the ones, obviously, from last week to get yourself up to date as well, because I know what I'll be watching tonight. I need to kind of recap that one, make sure Steven didn't, mess around too much. Otherwise, we're going to have words. But anyway, Steven aside, let's bring back another kind of regular member towards this and kind of put you over to the ever lovely Melly. How are we doing over there, my dear? Have you missed me?
Oh, yes. I missed you so much.
She also got the mic right, which is what we didn't do. We forgot to put the mic up last time, so you're already one step ahead of us, Lauren.
Steven broke it.
Started perfectly, so and it got even worse. No, just kidding. It was fine. So, but it's good to have you back, Lauren. Yay. Really, I missed you much. Well, I'm doing okay. I'm a bit jealous. The whole World of Tanks crew roaming around the planet, and I'm sitting at home. Lauren being in LA, Ollie being in England.
Yeah, we went for a bit of a trip around
I'm not sure
town.
which one's more glamorous.
I was at home, sitting in my bed and, well, playing games or watching people play. Well, has its good sides as well, so whatever. But I'm feeling better. My voice is back. And, yeah.
What can they do?
what they...
Can you explain them how they
do
bonus codes and stuff?
And she met West Borland.
I did. That was pretty good. That was pretty damn good. It's thrown her off her game. Normally, she's like straight in there with Facebook. Now it's like, West Borland?
West Borland. No. I didn't. I'm so sad. No, I'm just kidding. How you people can get involved? It's pretty easy. Head over to our social media pages, facebook.com/WoT Pro League and Twitter, of course. Make sure following both platforms because I will keep you updated even if you're not able to watch the stream. So, and of course, we never come empty-handed. We always have stuff for you at home. Get involved, be part of our show. Take part in our challenges on Facebook where you have to guess the exact outcome of the current matchup. And with a bit of luck, you might get a bonus code. So, and of course, we will be rewarding 3 tweets of the day. So make sure tweeting as much as you like, whatever is on your heart, whatever you wanted to say. If it's questions to our 2 experts, I can say 2 now because Lauren is back.
I'm learning.
And of course, if you have anything you want to share with us, just make sure using the hashtag WoT Pro League. And yeah, tweet us. Tweet us whatever is on your mind. 3 tweets of the day will be rewarded, and with bonus codes. That's
nice.
basically all. And come to the Twitch chat. Hang around with me. I'm in there too. And some questions I can answer by myself. So
there we go.
Yes.
Alrighty.
That's all so far. Yeah.
There we go. So, guys, obviously you've heard how you guys at home can get involved, and there's nothing stopping you doing that. Bonus codes galore. It's pretty good. I'd do it myself, but sadly I've got to cast a game of World of Tanks. So back into that, let's look head-to-head at the teams we're going to be seeing today. So first of all, it will be Odem Mortis up against the previous WoT.de, now titled Playing Ducks. So why don't you take us through these lineups and who we should be looking out for?
So Playing Ducks is what their new titles you just mentioned, being transferred over from WoT.de, who are now more of a casual website. As opposed to the pro side of World of Tanks. So let's start with them. We've obviously got a few good mentions. We've got Siege, the team leader. The only Neo plays a T1, Scarin a T69. Who else? We got Wuston Futsch, an IS3 or an AMX 3090 player. And generally the team is what's really good is that they're all obviously German. So they train a lot. They're very regimented. They know exactly where they want to go and what they want to do.
Hey, I'm not joining in on this. I heard how that went last time.
No, it's a compliment. I know why people think it's an insult. It's definitely a compliment.
Yeah.
And that star player, Aluza, he really steps it up. And I've really enjoyed seeing how he progresses the play and how he keeps them progressing. I think he's going to be one of the best players in Europe very soon if he does continue. And then we've got Odem Mortis, the team leader, Thorus, team manager, obviously Magus, back from his trip from Russia where he was casting the Golden League finals. Congratulations to Natus Vincere, otherwise known as Navi, for taking first place against Red Rush Unity as well. I've got to mention that one. Uncro, T69, Threaten, a heavy tank player. It's quite a new team. Like they've had a lot of roster changes. Devil, Dr. DJ D, we've got Ram, who was in their Season 2 actually. So they're still kind of merging as a team and just getting that synergy together. But I think once they do that, they're going to start raking in the results once again. So those are our 2 teams today. We can jump straight into tank picking as well, because that has started.
Indeed. Let's not mess around at all.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's going to be a hard one to predict as well, I find, because these two are quite close in skill. They've got their standout players. They've got their certain tactics.
Sure.
But what tanks are we seeing here for Ensk?
So it is Ensk, as you said. So it's going to be heavy tanks, and that's going to be about it. It depends if these 2 teams want that T69 or not, but we'll have to wait and see. Double T1 for OM to start us off with. T1 AMX 51 from Playing Ducks, 5100 IS3 for Odem Mortis as well. So both these 2 teams going for that 5100, which is standard. T1 IS3 for Playing Ducks as well. So the Russian tier 8 heavy tank still featured heavily in these lineups. 5100 IS3 for Odem Mortis, IS3 5100 from Playing Ducks. Final pick for Odem Mortis will be that T69, so 1 team going for that one at least, which is a little bit strange because obviously these teams are starting to shy away from that with the 416 and the Pershing, and I honestly do think the Pershing is probably a better pick here. But if the player feels comfortable,
it's about player comfort right
exactly, and that's where Uncro feels comfortable. But the last pick for Playing Ducks is going to be that MX 5100 as well. So that's our 2 teams: the 3 5100s, 2 IS3s, 2 T1s for Playing Ducks, 2 MX 5100s, 2 IS3s, T69s, and 2 T1s for Odem Mortis.
I've got to say it, big shout out to you guys' family who are actually going to be tuning in. So I do like the way that people are actually getting their families involved. Nothing stopping you guys at home, obviously, tweeting this out, getting it on your own Facebooks. Let's get everyone in here because this will be a great game. These two are very close now. It's 8th and 6th position going head-to-head. Hopefully, we're going to see a great game here on Ensk. I'm not sure where my money's going. I'm feeling like I want to kind of vote for Odem Mortis. In theory, on paper, they're not necessarily the more favorable side, but are you joining me on that?
I'm going to join you on that one, yeah.
Alrighty. So with that in mind, let's get you an introduction video towards the one and only Ensk.
Ensk is a simple map on the face of it, but requires the most skillful team play to play properly. Being such a small map at 600 by 600 meters, the areas of attack are confined to through the city, through the railroads, or through the green zone. The fearsome city side, often famed for its fierce firefights, the railroads and green zone areas are hard to play as they have many death alleys. The railroads provide little cover but good sniping locations. Tanks can shoot over and navigate through the trains to ambush and weaken the opposition. When playing Ensk, always keep in mind that teams may try and rush for the cap and not go for the city brawl. Also, take tanks that can both deal a lot of damage and react quickly to situations.
Alrighty, you may have noticed there that my screen is not quite working. Joyous as ever, but we are into the first map here, so do not fear. And it will be Ensk, so why don't you take us into this one?
So Odem Mortis doing what they usually do, going towards the green zone with their IS-3 5100 staying in the middle, and the other IS-3 staying towards the middle area as well. Dr. DJ Deep playing that 5100 is going towards the right side. He's going to be responsible for covering that one line with his 5100. The two T1s kind of just idling around the base, ready to try and get some spots out, supported by Uncro in his T69. So that's Odem Mortis on your side. Well, pretty much the whole of playing Ducks is going towards the trench. Not the trench, the green side on Ensk, which is something we haven't seen so much of Season 2 and Season 3, or Season 2 at least, but it started to come back in again in Season 3 towards the middle section. I'm not really sure why. Like, originally when people played Ensk, that was like the standard tactic. But now, I'm not really sure why they would be doing this, but maybe it's just where they feel comfortable. Maybe they come up with a good tactic. But it's starting to feature more and more into these strategies, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, so let's pop over to my screen. Yes, I was a little bit worried pressing that button, but it is all good. As you said, playing Ducks going for a little bit of an interesting kind of push here, or at least kind of not questionable, but it's certainly very different. Those 5100s splitting right down that zero line do have the bulk of the firepower towards that train line area, so Wu and Loser both kind of hammering down. Uncro finding the first T1 there, so small advantage to Odem Mortis, but we've seen recently a lot of the big plays kind of being forged by those T1s.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. The T1s, they provide the information without very much loss. You know, if you can scout like he did the two 5100s, then and you only lose a T1, then you have all the information and you've only lost a T1. And on Ensk, where T1s are, you know, there was one of those maps where they are kind of useful, but they're not really as useful on a map like Himmelsdorf, so you can kind of afford to throw at least one away, which is what Odem Mortis has done for that piece of information. But they don't seem to be reacting on it at all, apart from Thoris in his IS-3, just started to rotate back to his base. Dr. DG Red Deep also going towards the base as well, while Uncro obviously getting himself out of there because he doesn't want to get focused down by the 5100s sitting in his T69. It would be a really bad start for him. So just good prediction play, good strategy from him, just getting himself there before he gets into too much trouble. But it's still early stage, and I think playing Ducks is just wanting to put some pressure onto Odem Mortis as opposed to really make any concrete move.
So, you say that. In my eyes at the moment, I'm looking at the positioning, and maybe it's just my assumption, but leaving that kind of drastic amount of firepower back down that 6 line, do you think that maybe they're going to try and draw at least someone through those train tracks? With Iceman, let's say, with Siege there, with QQ, maybe try and get a couple on the rotate, on the push across, and try and work it through that kind of position, because it feels as though they're trying to set something up here, because you never go for that right side, that green area, unless you got something up your sleeve. Surely they could at least kind of, not necessarily snipe down, but shoot down those railroads if they do manage to pull someone across here.
Yeah, that may be a good strategy. If they do pull someone across and you get the 5100s in the right position, or even the IS-3 and a 5100, then yeah, that could work spectacularly. I mean, at this stage, it's all about getting the information and really doing the initial bits of damage. So then when it does come to a fight, firefight, when you have the information, the other team is obviously lower in HP, then you've got a much better chance of winning. So that's probably one of the things they want to do. But now you can see Playing Ducks have started to push themselves back towards their own base, and I think that's just because they couldn't do what you said. They couldn't really attract anyone, couldn't catch someone out, or even find a T1 for that matter towards the end of their base. So they're a little bit worried perhaps that Odem Mortis has got something up their sleeves, maybe pushing for a cap, or perhaps just getting in good positions ready for them if they do end up pushing. So it's everything's up in the air at this point, and I think the only thing Playing Ducks have on information is the fact that Uncro was over towards the green side. Apart from that, it is all Odem Mortis at this point.
Yeah, very true. First real spot coming out, though. QQ and Co have managed to kind of find Thoris down that 5-line area. They've kind of positioned themselves to receive. The IS-3s are making their way back round towards their flag. Gonna try and play slightly defensively, I can imagine, or at least line up here, because they are literally playing from the back line at the moment. You can see a couple of blind shots and bits coming out from these guys, but nothing too much at the moment. And do you feel as though they're almost too late to go towards the city area, or do you think they can still possibly have a chance to get over there?
I think they can go over there if they really want to. That's the luxury about the south. It's so easy to play the city. From the north, you see teams really head towards their own base or even towards just the 6 line. But from the south, it's always about the city, and that's what's great about it. You can go in through the front, you can go from the side, you can go in pretty much any way you want. As Yukai does get himself a hefty shot to the face, down to 1-1-2-0. Also, his commander's down, so he might have to blow that first aid kit early on, but he hasn't so far, and a couple of shells have replied. Siege down to 991, and QQ down to 1078. So Odem Mortis now with the information and with a bit more damage on their sleeve.
Yeah, indeed. So we're going to see what Playing Ducks are going to be going up to, because they are making the move towards that city area. As you said, they're in the more kind of advantageous position to kind of retake that city if needs must from the south. It seems that they're kind of going for that at the moment as well. Iceman, QQ, and Wu all pushing up that 2 and 3 section, trying to get themselves towards here. But in the other kind of base, we are seeing the, Odem Mortis and more looking towards that 5 and 6 line. You can see that 2 tanks have now got themselves positioned down there as well. So I'm not sure if Playing Ducks have kind of overcompensated here, but they do look as though they want to kind of make a move out of this.
Yeah, overcompensation is a big problem in many walks of life, but in Odem Mortis' case, I think they're doing it pretty well. They're just playing step by step. The only thing they're doing badly, in my opinion, which is it's questionable. It's a game of compromises. Like, Odem Mortis have most of the map and they have most of the firing angles, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, Playing Ducks have all their tanks in one area, which is a good thing. So there's pros and cons to every strategy. If one tank on Odem Mortis gets caught out, it will get taken down very quickly without having much support. But if it can find its way around onto the side or the back of Playing Ducks, then suddenly having your tank on a limb is a good thing. So it's a game about compromises, as everything. You can't ever have a perfect solution. Odem Mortis knows this. Playing Ducks knows this. But 3 minutes and 18 seconds to go to the end of this match. One of these two teams is going to have to bite the bullet and really just push in, because, and I think it has to be Odem Mortis because they got the HP advantage. It's just polite, really. Yeah,
you say that, but even in my eyes right now, it is still Playing Ducks kind of looking for a way through. You can see that Siege and QQ have both got themselves looking down that 1 line, maybe looking to switch something up here. Iceman coming over as well. They do look as though they want to try and make something happen, even though they are at a disadvantage, as you mentioned, HP-wise. QQ down to 1078, Siege down to 991. Uncro has been spotted by the 5100s down there, so he might be in trouble if he's not careful. He's going to back away. And now at least, Playing Ducks are kind of working out where the opposition is, but I feel as though they're not in the position to make a move from this yet.
Not really, and I think Uncro could have done a little bit of a better job then. He should have connected at least one of those shells. That's why he was there. So maybe just a little bit of a bad shot from him. I'm not sure. But it does look like Thoris is going to push. He does receive one from Wustenfush down to 110, 1100. To be honest, he does actually reply on one. But he's in kind of an awkward position at this point. But at the moment, it's going pretty well. Wustenfush down to 716, so he's pretty much half HP. But Thoris is also in trouble.
Yeah, Thoris is down to 445. Now QQ and Iceman are joining him from that right flank. Going to be coming around in those 5100s, trying to lay down the fire. alleviates some of the pressure away from Wu, so maybe he can back away and try and readjust, because right now on the horizon, Odem Mortis are starting to appear, and they are starting to get the fire down. Threaten now down to 1161, but QQ's been knocked back as well. And you're saying the HP advantage was firmly in the base of Odem Mortis. They're going to have to try and one with it. A loser is going around that right flank, as is Siege, but the fire is coming in towards Morty. Playing Ducks now. DJ Red Deep getting the fire down towards QQ. He is eliminated by Uncro. Yukai goes very low, but right now it's Odem Mortis coming out fairly well from this one. As long as they can keep Yukai alive, they have a real advantage, and they've just managed to completely and utterly alienate the remaining players of Playing Ducks. Siege out position, Loser out position. They went for the flank and they could not do it fast enough, but now here comes Loser coming around the side. He's got the advantage over Threaten. Iceman coming through as well. They need to get this fire done, and pretty damn quickly. Threaten's got away, but Loser now coming down. He's going to be able to get these shots down towards DJ Red Deep, who is tracked, gets that repaired, gets into cover, but the fire between Threaten and Iceman still going strong. The 5100s and the IS-3s battling head to head. Iceman getting the shell connecting. One more good. Oh, that shell does just manage to lose its position, but Iceman does manage to take down Threaten there, and we are bringing it back to a very close battle now.
Yeah, but that's another kill for Siege onto Yukai. Uncro's going to have to kill Iceman in these remaining seconds of the game, missing 3 shots, so I think he's going to not be able to do it.
Yeah, he has only got 1 shell left here. He's going to be going straight back out. Loser coming through, though. Doesn't manage to get the shell connection that he wanted. Loser still chasing him down in that IS-3. No connections yet. There we go, finally. Bit of a connection. Uncro still on the reload. He's in trouble. 768 HP. He's not going to get out of here. He's held in position. 316, 283. He is now surrounded by Playing Ducks, Loser and Iceman from either side. Surely going to be taking him down. It's a 3-on-1. Loser gets the last kill, and Devil, the dear little T1, has no hope here. And there we have it. So it is Playing Ducks to pick that one up.
Yeah, very good play from Playing Ducks,
wow,
but equally bad play from Odem Mortis.
Yeah, what happened there? I felt as though Odem Mortis had the initial advantage.
Yeah.
I felt as though they played it right, and then it kind of slipped through their hands.
It was just bad, like, altogether. They had every advantage they wanted. They had the 1 tier 8 tank down for nothing, and then they replied with another one, so they had 2-to-1 advantage in terms of tier 8 tanks. So they had everything. But the thing is, they just kind of just segregated. Like, every tank just was playing for himself. Yeah. There was no teamwork, there was no synergy, there was nothing. And what really epitomized that was the fact that Uncro was sitting on full HP, and he just let one of his tanks go off and try and kill a 5100 on its own. And I think, you know, if you're on full HP, go 2 versus 1, regardless if you're not reloaded. Especially if you're in a T69, you have the 25 seconds reload. So you're not waiting for an eternity. You're going to be in the position when it does come down to it, and you're going to be protecting your friend at the end of the day. And Yukai also, even though he's in low HP, should have been a bit better position, because it just felt like a broken up fight. Like, all of Playing Ducks were in one place, dealing with only a couple of Odem Mortis' players, and then they all kind of just went in as they got the reload, and they just had no chance.
Yeah, another thing that I did notice was the fact that I think it was Loser and Siege possibly, or maybe Iceman split off. They had the initial engagement. Those two split off and just roped around the others who were coming down that 5 and 6 line and just completely annihilated them. Yeah. It was really well handled from Playing Ducks, and fair play to them. They had a bit of a shaky start. They didn't have the advantage HP-wise, and they clawed it back. So can't knock them for that one. And, well, Ent's going their way. It's not necessarily the way I expected. I was in the camp of Odem Mortis, really, for this one, but it's the way it goes sometimes. If you're not executing those strategies correctly, it can fall apart. But anyway, next map in mind is going to be Himmelsdorf. Now, who do you think this one favours? We've seen a kind of city-ish map, even though that green zone was used. Do you feel as though this will suit maybe Playing Ducks the way they're playing right now, or will Odem Mortis finally wake up? I'm
pretty sure it suits Playing Ducks. Ensk, you know, Himmelsdorf, Ruhenberg, it's all Playing Ducks. Maybe not Ruhenberg, but at least Ensk and Himmelsdorf. It's really where they excel. It's their heavy tanks. They're really unlike any other team, apart from maybe Dinova on Himmelsdorf and Ensk. It's just the way they play together. Like, you can tell these guys at the beginning of the game have most of their battles on heavy tanks, and they play a lot together. So it just works. It works for them. They've got the strategies down to a T. So if I was a betting man, I would definitely put it onto Playing Ducks to win Himmelsdorf as well and take it to 2-0.
You have to find out. They aren't quite ready for the tank picking yet. They're still just kind of discussing things, but I don't know what to make of that last game. I feel as though Odem Mortis was off their kind of usual level there. Normally they're so cohesive as a team. They normally have that kind of really good kind of teamwork just embedded into them, and it was just a little bit missing. But anyway, my thoughts aside, I think the tank picks are ready, so let's go ahead and look at towards those. Hopefully my game doesn't crash next time this loads in, and all is good. So what do you think we're going to see here? Normal Himmelsdorf?
I'm pretty sure we'll see normal Himmelsdorf. And the only map which I think things are going to kind of switch up on a little bit are perhaps Prokhorovka, but almost certainly steps, judging by what the Russians are doing, and it's always a good judge. T1 I3 for the side of playing Ducks, double T1 for Odem Mortis, so just getting those tier 1 tanks out of the way straight away. Yep. T1 AMX 5100 for playing Ducks as well, so they got the IS3 and the 5100, and the 5100 and that IS3 being picked for Odem Mortis. So just back and forwards with the Russian and the French tanks at this point, as per usual. The only thing we really might see is that last tank pick being something unusual. It could be, I don't know, maybe a Pershing like we saw Dinova, a 416, which I think is quite unlikely, or somewhere thereabouts. If it's going to be anything, it could be those tanks. 110 maybe as well, but not such a great tank. I'm not really a massive fan of it. But Odem Mortis now picking the IS3 and that T69. Really liking the T69. I'm not exactly sure why, to be honest, with the penetration nerf. It doesn't seem to really do its job quite as well, and you could see that. When Unkro was playing, he bounced quite a lot of shots. Even the 5100 was bouncing the IS3, so T69 really has no chance. Last pick from playing Ducks is that MX 5100, and the last pick from Odem Mortis will also be the 5100, so making a triple 5100, a double IS3, double T1, completely standard tank lineup for the side of playing Ducks, with a double 5100, a double IS3, a T69, double T1. Pretty much a Season 2 standard lineup for Odem Mortis.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see if that T69 can come into play. You've already questioned its kind of place currently in the World of Tanks scene, especially on maps like this, but we'll have to find out. I'm not too sure, how we're going to see this evolving. Obviously, at the moment, Morty, as they're tagged up, now titled Playing Ducks, are the guys with the advantage. They won on a city-based map. Now Odem Mortis need to turn it around, so let's get you an introduction video towards Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf is a city maps of city maps. It's a small one, being 600 by 600 meters. There are 3 routes of attack: the hill, the banana, and the train side. The middle area is relatively easy to push, however can end up in disaster as you can be flanked from every side. The road, often called banana, allows for direct head-on assaults but requires a lot of resources. Both the railroad area and the road next to it are good routes of attack, being very open and straight. However, for those very same reasons, you can be easily caught out and taken down. The map features many densely housed areas, which provides good places for engagements and routes of attack. Teams must be aware of the various routes their opponents can take through the map, as well as the hull-down positions enemies can take throughout the entire map. The trick with Himmelsdorf is to catch an enemy tank unsupported by his teammates and then use that advantage to collapse on the entire enemy team.
Alrighty, so welcome into the second game. Obviously, it will be on Himmelsdorf. You are currently looking at the blue side, which is Odem Mortis, starting in the south, facing off against the north, which is playing Ducks in that gold and yellow. So what are we seeing so far from Odem Mortis?
Very strange start for Odem Mortis, actually. Pushing right towards that 2-3 line like you see from the north of pretty much all their tanks. Unkro and Thor is towards the kind of left of the train side, where the trains kind of drive along, I guess. I don't know what kind of description that is. But that's where the 2 autoloaders are. Yukai to the right, Threaten, and Dr. Red deep, really towards the middle, and on the left side of the middle. They're going to be the ones with the hull down, and they're going to be the ones really doing the alpha damage. And on the side of playing Ducks, a couple of tanks going up towards the hill. The rest of them just taking up standard positions from the north, I guess, if you're not going to play the 1-2-3 line tactic, which is really to put a couple of tanks on the hill, a couple of tanks to kind of defend the 8 line, and a couple of them just to be in support. You always need that support just to make sure one of your tanks doesn't get caught out, and you always have, a backup. You always know someone's there behind you to provide you with any kind of, damage or counter damage or anything really. But Threaten does take a shot there. He's down to 1-2-4-2, and I believe that was probably something from an AMX 5100 doing a very low damage roll as well. Dr. Red Deep also taking a couple of shots down to 956 from probably the 5100 right up here onto the on the Himmel. And that's going to be a bad start for Odem, and it's really playing ducks with those T1s spotting out and getting the early advantage. So good start from playing ducks. They have the HP advantage, but Odem Mortis, they had the HP advantage on Ensk, and they still didn't win.
Yeah, indeed. It's a really nice kind of team composition currently coming into play. As you mentioned, those 5100s up on that hill, actually really coming into favor. And that T1 that was just split down to that 2-line, I think it was Io there for playing ducks, actually did manage to spot out the vast amount of Odem Mortis making their way down. But still, he's kind of dancing around now. He's in a little bit of trouble. We now need to see the playing ducks can get themselves back here because the kills are now coming in. The initial plan is not going to work out unless they can kind of now at least deal with the threat that could be coming down that 1, 2, and 3 line, because they have absolutely no eyes on it. Excluding the one player, Wu, who did manage to push up initially towards that central kind of square, excluding him, they're completely blind to half of the map now. So they just have to play defense.
The defensive strategy is a good strategy, I guess. And if they really do it properly, which playing ducks do, and they have been known for being quite a defensive team, although they've really started to go aggressive throughout this season, then I think they got a good chance here. But Ram is pushing forwards in his T1. He's going to be providing a lot of information for Odem Mortis if he does get into a good position, because as you can see, since Thoris did go up here, the whole of playing ducks has come off the hill. They've really been protecting that 6-7 line, expecting one of those cheesy capping strategies from Odem Mortis. Obviously, they're not quite that stupid, and they've just set themselves back a little bit. But once again, Odem Mortis is splitting up quite a lot. You can see the T69 here. He is sporting his 5100 and the IS3s and the 5100 here, but pretty much the whole team is kind of segregated, which could go both ways. It could be really good, or it could be really bad. Obviously, those are the only two options you have, to be honest. But Ram's
really definitive comments going out of you today.
Ram is going to be spotting out quite a nice little... I mean, that's like the T1 in a nutshell. Look at that. That is unbelievable.
Wow.
That's beautiful. I mean, really, really nice. And he can obviously spot out across the B line, find those IS3s. Doesn't quite have the view range, only about 200 meters to really find anything there, though. But Uncro's going to be there. He's going to be trying to get some information as well. Playing the T69 probably has the cap of 425 view range, and Yukai finally joins him as well.
Yeah, and looking at playing ducks, they still need to kind of get themselves involved here. They do seem to be playing that defensive game, as you mentioned. But will they expect them to be coming across that A line and then start going towards the flag? Because as you said, OM are fairly segregated. They still have two of those big heavy tanks all the way back by that G line. They're not getting involved. They've split a good couple of them forward. And I'm just waiting to see what they can really do here. I'm kind of expecting, I don't know what to expect. You know, they're not really spotting them out, but Thoris right now is in trouble. 1147 left towards him. Iceman and Siege playing that defensive role, coming into play perfectly now. And let's see if they can get this one done. Siege now needs to back away. He's in trouble. Reload getting underway now. You can see the rest of the tanks are responding in kind. Finally, QQ gets into the action, spotting out Uncro there. Does not get the shell connection he wanted, but at least they're kind of cutting on to what might be happening here. And the tanks are falling back even further. Wu now pretty much on the front line for Morty, aka playing ducks.
Yeah, it looks like Uncro is going to be on the retreat, obviously on reload, and so is pretty much the whole of Odem Mortis. That's a good exchange to them, though. Uncro really coming into his own, getting a couple of good connections onto QQ and C. One down to 871, the other one down to 1132. And that was just perfect positioning. That was training, that was execution, and the amount of damage he could do really was a testament to that. But looks like Odem Mortis now starting to consolidate. The 5100s and the T69, all three of the autoloaders actually playing together. So they haven't got the alpha damage from the IS3 to support them, which is not really what you need, to be honest. I mean, if you're going to play the autoloaders, the reason why the teams do play the autoloaders is to get the massive burst damage out, take a T8 out, and then straight away you have such a massive advantage that it's extremely hard to come back from. Obviously making sure that you don't get yourself into such a bad position that you can't come back from it anyway. But it's going to be a question if really playing ducks can kind of get themselves back into this game, although the HB is pretty much the same. It looks like Odem Mortis is prepared to make all the plays at this point, which is always good, but it didn't work out so well against Kaz and crew, where they actually ended up losing 3-0. So they need to make the plays, but they need to make clever plays.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on here, because right now, on the playing duck side, all the firepower is just beyond that banana. You can see Loser, Iceman, QQ. and Siege all lining up there. WoT kind of holding that central position. That T1 for the opposition was spotted up at the top of the hill, but then again, I can imagine by now it's managed to at least catch a glimpse of where the vast amount of firepower is. And you can see Loser is already getting himself rolling down that banana line. He's going to try and get some pressure going, try and find a reply. He's pretty much sitting completely healthy. Him and WoT not receiving a single bit of damage yet, and he could be in trouble. There's 3 players now charging right at him. Yukai is the first to make it around the corner. Great shell connection. Does manage to get out unscathed here. Now backs away further. Yukai held in place. He can call out to the rest of the team who are getting themselves rolling towards that banana line. And unkrow and Yukai now in the firing line. Loser receives another shell. 1-2-7-2 left towards him. Backs away again. Does not get the connection that he wanted. Where's the rest of the team though? They're coming down through that central reservation area. DJ Red Deep and Threaten waiting to go. So there is threats everywhere right now for the Playing Ducks boys. Loser's in a little bit of trouble. He's slightly segregated from his team, but maybe he can handle it.
Yeah, Yukai's going to push forwards, actually. Thoros and unkrow are going to be support, and I think the whole of Odem have actually countered the fact that he's on his own. They're going to push.
Yeah, here we go. He's being punished for his troubles. So look at Siege coming in strong, taking down Yukai in that 5100. Loser just being the bait for the firepower that waited just steps away. Thoros now trying to finish off the job. Receives 1 shell, down to 776. Loser receives a real bit of punishing, but here's the replies. It's too little too late. unkrow did the damage. QQ finally comes back in with the shot that they needed that little bit earlier. But unkrow now is the only T69 in place. You can see that he's got WoT, he's got Siege, he's got a lot of trouble coming his way. He's going to have to back out of there and look to reset this fight.
Yeah, you can see that T69 not managing to get the damage or the penetrations onto the IS-3, struggling like hell. unkrow will have to run like hell as well, because obviously that IS-3 will be able to rotate back around it. 390 average damage from that BL9, 122mm, no problem at all for 365 health, unless you get extraordinarily unlucky. But it looks like Playing Ducks once again coming out on top, leaving only the 2 IS-3 left, but they're going to push.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to find out who's going to really come out of the bear of this one. Iceman picking up the T1, Neo picking up the T1, but now it's down to the big boys. DJ Red Deep and Threaten still standing up against WoT and Siege. QQ coming around the back. Red Deep gets a 1 shell, down to 5-4-3, but WoT's in trouble. He's down to 7-9-1, and the fire going back and forth. Tentative battle in those IS-3s, but here comes the fire from the back. We told you QQ's there. Now DJ Red Deep's finding out about it, but Threaten's pushed forward. He's got round the side of WoT. He's taken down Siege, and now it looks like maybe there's a turning point until that just happened. QQ managed to take down DJ Red Deep. Threaten's the last man standing. This looks like it's going to be another Playing Ducks map. Iceman coming in for that killing blow. And at the moment, I've got to say it, Odem Mortis look a little bit lost for an answer.
Yeah, very good win for Playing Ducks once again. And, you know, really standing up to what they deserve on Himmelsdorf, really showing why they are one of the better teams there. And they kind of just were a complete step ahead of Odem Mortis every single way. Like, the way they pushed, the kind of skill they had, the whole heavy tank play they had was just, you know, a level above.
It was. And the initial thing that once again springs to mind, Odem Mortis had that initial advantage of HP, but yet they did not capitalize on it at all.
Yeah, and it was just a complete lack of penetration shots. Like, once again, that T69, why are Odem Mortis playing it?
Them back.
It's just not doing anything. Like, it literally isn't. I'm just watching unkrow hit his shots and not do anything. Yeah. Why would you use it? Just use a Pershing. Okay, it did 1.1k damage, but we can see how many shells it did. It did 11 shells, 6 direct hits, penetrations of 5.
Not ideal.
No.
Really not ideal. And then you look over to the other camp, the likes of WoT getting 2k damage, QQ up on 1.5, Siege 2k as well. Yeah. If you're Nels, you need to switch something up there, because that could be costing them the game. As you mentioned, when that banana push came down, that T69 was just swept aside immediately.
Yeah, it just didn't have any of the damage it should do. I think a 5100 would be better there, and a Pershing would be better for its general situations. And I think that's something they need to consider, really removing that tank, as we've seen a lot of the other teams do on Ensk and Himmelsdorf. I think it's a bit outdated. But yeah, generally, you know, that wasn't the reason why they really lost. It was True. It was more about just the fact that Playing Ducks kept the pressure on, regardless of the fact they didn't have any support. And then when Yukai pushed forward in his 5100, and he got caught, he just got caught in the middle. I think he even realized that once he pushed forward, he would die. But push forwards regardless. But what could he do? Yeah,
it's a horrible realization when you have that many tanks like right lined up at you. But it's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But we're going on to a really different kind of map here. It's going to be Prokhorovka next. So let's get ready for those tank picks and have a little bit of a talk about who this one favors, because we've seen 2 city-based maps now. And Prokhorovka, completely different. So how do you feel this one favors one of the teams? Is this maybe where Odem Mortis can turn it? Or is this going to be another Playing Ducks map?
Well, they have to turn it. They're 2-0 down. If they don't want to lose 3-0, which would give Playing Ducks the series, then they've got to turn it around on Prokhorovka. And I think This is probably Odem Mortis' tank pick, map pick. I think Ensk was theirs as well, but they lost that one. So they have to turn it around Prokhorovka. They have to start getting those wins under their belt. And, you know, they haven't been doing so well against Playing Ducks. They didn't do well against them Season 2 and Matchday 1 and 12. They actually lost 2-3. And now they have to just win at least 2 matches if they want to make it a draw and draw 1 map as well, or just win 3 in a row and really get the win here. But tank picking has begun. Double T1 for Odem Mortis, T1 AMX 1390 for Playing Ducks. Double AMX 1390 for OM as well. T1 T69 for Playing Ducks, double T69 for Odem Mortis. So both these 2 teams obviously opting for the popular picks on Prokhorovka, which is the AMX 1390, that tier 8 light French tank, and the T69, the tier 8 medium American tank. So the standard pick so far, nothing we would not expect. The AMX 1390 will be the last pick from the Odem Mortis camp as well. And I expect the same to come from Playing Ducks, which it will do. So triple AMX 1390, double T69, double T1 lineup for both Odem Mortis and Playing Ducks on Prokhorovka.
Now, call this one. What is this the turning point for Odem Mortis? Do you think they can do this?
I think this is, if they got anything to do, anything to prove, and they really want to get a top 6 position, they have to take this one.
Alrighty, so all pressure onto Odem Mortis, currently sitting 2 maps down. So they have to turn it, as you said. If they want to win here, it's got to be on this very map. All pressure on them, but let's get you an introduction video towards Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka, a large map at 1,000 by 1,000 meters, which allows teams to stretch their legs and artillery to test their skills. There are 3 primary routes of attack: over the left tree road, the middle area, and towards the town. The tree road is very open and flat, but has a very large number of bushes and trees that provide good cover if you're not shooting. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen, as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. Both teams are fairly symmetrical and only offer small hills and bushes as cover. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen, as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. The railroad that splits the map has a large number of bushes running alongside it that provides good cover, and the occasional route of attack in the village and hill area. Teams should look towards taking fast tanks and artillery as they complement each other on this expansive map.
All right, welcome into Prokhorovka. We will be seeing in the north, in that blue color, the one and only Odem Mortis, who have everything to do on this map, facing off against the gold and yellow Playing Ducks, currently 2 maps to the good. What's going on so far?
Odem Mortis pushing over towards the roadside aggressively at the moment, really not wasting any times with the middle spot, apart from Thoris going there, and he's going to be scampering out there pretty quickly, because we've seen it in the past. If you push up that middle line from the north, then you get sniped down from behind the rock by the T69s, which are obviously reloaded by the time that AMX 1390 is there. But threatened Dr. DG Red Deep pushing down there with his AMX 1390. Thoris is going to join in, while Yukai and Uncle obviously playing those T69s are going to be playing that hold down position along that hill. So a good start for a good aggressive start, at least from Odem Mortis. And the same could be said by Playing Ducks, really going towards the village. T1 get taken out very quickly by Odem Mortis as well. The only Neo finding himself not very much information at all, apart from the fact that 1 AMX 1390 is there, which they already knew because they got spotted. But yeah, Playing Ducks towards the village, and this is really what we'd expect. This is kind of the old way we saw Prokhorovka being played. Now it's more about the middle. But these 2 teams, obviously, well, especially Odem Mortis, don't want to give anything away here. But both now have their positions, at least their starting position. QQ did take a shot. I believe he's lost some HP. Not exactly sure how much. And Playing Ducks have lost a T1. So at the moment, once again, Odem Mortis have the advantage.
Yeah, we've seen this before, but maybe this time they can make something of it. As you mentioned, Odem Mortis looking like they want to take that 1 and 2 line. They've got a massive amount of tanks. Basically, all those 1390s right down the bottom by the Playing Ducks flag, and they could execute something if they fancy it, leaving those T69s as the main backbone slightly further back. Going to see what they have in mind here, because it feels as though they're taking the reins this time. They're not going to just leave this one alone. Whereas Playing Ducks, should I say, kind of play this one a little bit more chilled. They know that they're obviously in a better position. They can lose a map if they have to. They can lose 2 if they really have to, and then take it back on the final. But I'm not sure who really has the upper hand here. You mentioned that maybe Playing Ducks had a bit of an advantage being in the village, but not too much. Is there a real advantageous position here, or is it fairly even spread between these 2?
What's nice about the village is just that you can sit there. Like when you're playing the roadside, you don't have any kind of cover at all apart from the camouflage mechanic. But from that, you don't really have much. Maybe a little bit of a hill here and there, but it's kind of scantily. And I think the best thing about the village is you have that. Like you can dictate the play. If you want to leave your covered nice little area, then you can do it. You know, you can go from the south, jump over the hill. You have the cover of the hill. You can go from the north, jump through those houses, or you can go from the south, from the kind of north middle area. So you have every advantage. You have the luxury, but then again, if you do end up leaving, you get yourself in the middle of the field. So once again, if you get into the field area, then the kind of roadside has an advantage because they're already there. They have the spots. So both on either side, it kind of comes back to that thing where it's all about kind of sacrifices and seeing which kind of your team suits, what kind of play style they have. And that's really what these two teams have picked. I would have expected them to really go for that middle kind of engagement, at least try and take one of the AMX 3090s down with your T69s, which will have reload. But that hasn't happened, and maybe we'd see a draw here on Prokhorovka. Obviously, if Odem Mortis do end up drawing, then it will only take one map for playing Ducks to win, and then Odem Mortis can't win at all. So that's not going to be in their minds at all, and we've got 6 minutes left, plenty of time to pull a win.
Yeah, 6 minutes on that board. Very, very tentative stuff. Seish, as you can see, patrolling back and forth over that 6 line. Trying to see if he can spot anything out. I think they've caught a couple of glimpses of Ram, but Ram's only that little T1, so not too much of a threat. But then again, recently it seems to be a lot of the T1s actually doing all the kind of objective play, so it's kind of interesting to find out maybe if we can get a little bit of that. Not too much movement, however. Playing Ducks quite happy just to keep within that village, as you mentioned, the other side of the railroad, not getting too involved, and just playing the game right down to the time limit.
Yeah, that's indeed correct. But Thoris is now on the rotate. He's going to be pushing towards the north, probably trying to get some spots out onto the AMX 3090 or T1 that is here, and see if he can find any shells. But he's actually stopped. I'm not sure if that's because of the pings that's coming out from Uncro into F7, realizing that there's definitely probably a T69 there, and that's probably where he's also going to be blind shooting. So both these teams trying to get an advantage. Obviously, that T1 being down for the side of playing Ducks means that Odem Mortis have the advantage at this point.
Oh.
But the T1 isn't a great tank on Prokhorovka regardless.
My word, I've got to say it then. Iceman was in the perfect position. He played that so nicely. He found a really, really great shot towards Uncro. And it's at least given them an idea where the opposing kind of members are in those T69s. So already kind of working it out. But as you said, no one's really making the moves yet.
Well, Uncro, you can see where the shot actually penetrated. Like that was like inches. It hit there, and that's like maybe 3 or 4 inches above, and he wouldn't have hit. So that was a great shot for an Iceman either. You know, if you got a name like Iceman, then you're going to be a good player regardless. Just need Maverick in here, and you'll be sorted. But yeah, Thren's going to be...
he's not Goose.
Yeah, true. Dr. DJ Deep is on reload, so he'll be like a 30 seconds until he can. You can see the reload timer going up there on our new interface. So hope you're enjoying that as well. Uncro takes another shot from the amazing Iceman. He's down to 666. Well, it's quite an unfortunate amount of HP to be left on, but regardless, he's going to have to retreat, make sure he doesn't get caught out again. QQ did take one, though. He's down to 1100. But that was like the first shot from the beginning of the game. So now the side of playing Ducks have the HP advantage of taking down one of those T69s to about half HP. That's going to give them some confidence going forwards. But also, it will put Odem Mortis under some pressure. So they might think they have to make the next move just to get back into the driving seat.
And where do you think they can actually start making that move? Because you can see Losers already spotted out that T1. So, wow, he actually missed that shot. That's a bit of a rarity. But still, where do you think these guys are going to make that move if they're going to make one?
They're starting to really filter off towards the north. Like, I think that's probably where they'll be looking. It's kind of a guessing game, though, because you really start to push towards the side you think the other team has the least amount of tanks and otherwise known as, well, just their defense generally. And I think from the village side, definitely the north is the hardest to protect, at least for the first initial engagement, because you can get segregated easily, and it's just further away from the village in general. And obviously, if you allocate too many resources there, then it starts to become hard, especially with that T69, to get back in time. But Odem is more in the kind of like a scenic route. They're kind of driving up and down in the AMX-39. He's not really being too decisive about their next move, trying to find a way in at the end of the day. And the T1's getting spotted all the time definitely will put them under pressure and really won't allow them to get in there, because obviously that T1 gets spotted. You know, there's probably an AMX-1390, especially if the T1's in the bush, because then that'll give it the view range to spot. And that will mean that you can't push with your AMX-1390, because they'll take at least 2 or 3 shots before they actually get into a firing range themselves.
Now, I want to see if Odem Mortis make a push out of this. At the very, very south of the map, they have 4 players now edging in. Now, this could be a real breaking point situation for them. Bearing in mind, they are literally on the verge of losing this one. Finally, the spots are coming out, and you see Wu is now kind of springing into action, as he will be the one to receive. The vast amount of these players, the only one really with firepower down here, until the likes of Iceman and Siege come back through. So Wu will connect the first there. It's actually Iceman's takedown round, but here you go. Main firepower now making its way through. Odem Mortis putting everything they have into that cap point. 47 seconds left on the board there. And they're pushing straight through. Threat and DJ Redeep and Thoris all going straight in towards the likes of Argo, who's going to be swept aside momentarily. The T69's still static in the central area of the map. So that's going to be a highly fought out battle here. There we go. So DJ Redeep does manage to take down Argo. Now it's going to be the case of Playing Ducks trying to keep eyes on these players. Loser has found the reply onto another tier 1, but with 1 minute left, I feel as though Odem Mortis have too much to lose here.
And Uncro's down to 159, so he's a one-shot for every tank apart from... Well, there's no T1s left for Playing Ducks anyway, so he's got to get himself out there pretty sharpish before one of the MX-3090s finds him from the side of Playing Ducks. But Odem is playing aggressive again. Yeah,
they're going straight in here. I'm not sure if this is a great move, because as you said, they lose a couple of tanks and it's game over. Thoris, DJ Redeep all going in. Wu, Iceman, and Siege all waiting to receive. This could fall down so badly for these guys. Bearing in mind the T69s are battling out as well. Everything could come down to whoever manages to stay alive in this one. 27 seconds left. Playing Ducks, playing it smart, getting to that cover, as you mentioned, so useful within this village area. 3 tanks now converging towards Siege. He receives the first shell, 913 left towards him. Thoris being the main focus though. He's down to 387, stunning shots coming in left, right and center. Thoris is down and out, Iceman collects it, and now Threat and DJ Redeep need to take down at least 1 tank, try to even the scoreboard up, but Redeep is in trouble. Siege will fall, however, and now DJ Redeep needs to stay alive, but is that a draw?
I think that's almost certainly a draw. Yeah, it's a draw.
My God.
It's a draw.
There was 50 HP left on DJ Redeep. Yeah. That could have gone into the favor of Playing Ducks within 1 shell and 1 second.
Or anything, pretty much.
That was reckless play from Odem Mortis.
That was really reckless. And what surprised me more is the fact that Uncro actually managed to survive. And that was pretty much just because, for some reason, Playing Ducks, instead of just driving straight across the middle, they kind of drove over towards that village road and the kind of road towards the left. And they should have just gone over the middle and just hoped for the best, because they already knew the T69's on low HP, and they already know that a T69 cannot kill an AMX-3090 unless it gets extraordinarily lucky with just 1 set of 4 shells from its autoloader. So I think Playing Ducks could have done it more smart. Odem Mortis played recklessly, but then, you know, it kind of cancelled each other out.
I'm still baffled that ended in a draw then. That was literally seconds away. That's 50 HP, which is normally spanked in seconds. That's normally done and dusted in a matter of literally seconds. So Odem Mortis staying alive just about in this, and I mean just. They've drawn it out, so they need to now win the next 2 to draw it up, basically. That's all they
need to do, yeah.
There's no chance of victory in this,
It's 1 or 0. Like, they either have 1 point in the season rankings if they do get a draw, or they have 0 if they end up losing these 2 maps to Playing Ducks.
I'm not sure how Odem Mortis can get away with that, but, you know, they went for it. They went for it. Credit to them. But Steps will be the second to last map, should I say, at least, which it could define whoever wins this. I feel as though, once again, we're going to see Odem Mortis playing safe if they're going to play for that draw, as you said. Better than a loss here, but Playing Ducks have been playing really well, so it's going to be hard to deny them the chance to actually walk away with this one, considering how close it got to on that last map. Maybe if they focused down that fire and that 3v3 in the village a little bit better, they'd have had that one in the bag immediately. However, it's not the way it goes sometimes, so let's get ready for the next map. It will be Steps. Let's get into tank picks and have a little look to see what they're going for at the moment, because we've seen some really interesting variations actually coming through in the last couple of days and some really interesting tactics. So what do you think we're going to see here?
Well, its steps is really starting to change a little bit. The Russian teams, I was watching some of the Russian finals this weekend, and the teams were picking like I think Native Vincerian against Red Rush Unity in the grand finals actually picked 416s and an AMX3090 or a T69 or a T32, one of those. So they picked all that Russian tank, and I didn't expect that at all. I can see why it might work because of its high rate of fire, but I just don't get why it would win against like a triple AMX3090 double T69 lineup. But it's just one of those kind of counter picks to that T32, which Red Rush Unity maybe were using. So we'll have to wait and see if that kind of filters down into the European scene a little bit, or if that's just a one-off tactic used by the Russian teams and which maybe just doesn't work full stop. And I wasn't particularly impressed by it, so we'll have to wait and see for that one. Double T1 AMX3090 for playing Ducks, double T1 for Odem Mortis, T1 T69 for playing Ducks as well. So in case you're wondering why they've still got WoT next to their team, is because they haven't got their team names changed yet. I think that's going to come, so don't worry about that. AMX3090 T69 for Odem Mortis, and that's going to be repeated by playing Ducks as well. So, all right, Pershing's going to be chosen by Odem Mortis, so they're going to go for that one. Tier 8 American medium tank. We've seen it picked a lot by the sides of Dinova and you know, Team Dignitas also like that one. But the last pick from playing Ducks will be the MX3090 as well. And the Odem Mortis will pick their Pershing. So they're going to pick a double Pershing lineup, actually, going for that double AMX3090 T69, double T1, and those two Pershings, while playing Ducks going for the triple AMX3090, double T69, double T1, completely standard.
I think this is going to be the first time we're going to see two Pershings, though, in action. I don't think
we saw it on Thursday, Lauren. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't here. My bad.
Yeah, we saw it on Thursday, I think.
How did it go?
I can't remember it for the life of me. But
well, that's useful then. I'm glad it was on Thursday. You know, I wasn't here, and I clearly remember more of it than you.
Probably. I mean, it was. I think it went well.
You think?
I think they lost, but.
And you're meant to be the analysis kind of, you know, the guy that I go to for answers. And this
I've had a hard weekend, Lauren. Come on.
I've been to it late. Right. Okay, guys at home. Just so you know, right? I arrived back in this country at 2 this afternoon. Okay. That's after like an 11-hour flight, and I'm handling my business right now. Whereas you, on the other hand, are not. But let's get an introduction video towards the one and only Steps.
Steps is the other open map in the map pool, being 1,000 by 1,000, having no urban areas. There are 3 primary routes of attack: the trench, the rocky area to the left, and the middle road. The road offers direct routes to the enemy's base, but despite having a staggering amount of cover along the way, you are vulnerable to attack from all sides. The trench area provides for great engagements as it's only a few hills and rocks to cover the teams. Most of the engagements occur around this rock, the winner of which gains a crucial foothold on the map. The rocky left area provides the most cover for attacking and defending teams. It's essential that you pick tanks that can traverse from one side of the map to the other rapidly. They also must be able to get to the various key locations as quickly as possible. That is the key to victory.
Alrighty, guys, welcome into the 4th map here. It will be Steps, as Joe kindly told us, and in the north, in that golden yellow, it's playing Ducks. 2 maps up currently, with 1 drawn out. Odem Mortis now need to turn things around if they want to go for the draw. What are we seeing here so far?
So Odem Mortis going for the trench side push. Quite unusual, like it's a 64. It's not too unusual, but it's not a great tactic in my opinion, as you can just get caught out very quickly. But it'll be Uncro and Thorus as usual, really running the main damage if they do get any from the start. But they are hull down, so it should be okay. And the Pershing up there also trying to get some shells down. First shell connecting for Yukai. Connecting on Iceman and QQ, 1 down to 1092, 1 down to 1103. So yeah, playing Ducks, as you haven't guessed by now, playing completely standard towards the trench with pretty much all their tanks, which is what we see unanimously from every team playing from the north. It's just simply the best tactic you can do there, as you can't push anywhere else.
Is it better than all the rest?
It is better than all the rest, Lauren, yeah. I mean, sarcasm...
I mean, sarcastic.
A pun is like... I reckon a pun is lower.
A pun is Tina Turner.
A pun is lower than sarcasm, but sarcasm is pretty much.
It's not sarcastic. It's Tina Turner, all right, and she's a classic.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Wow. All right, we're putting on some Tina Turner during the break. Guys at home, let them know who Tina Turner is, please.
I know who Tina Turner is. I just don't get the reference.
You read Simply the Best.
Maybe I should watch more Tina Turner. I don't know.
I think we'll have an evening. We'll get some ice cream. We'll watch some Tina Turner live concerts and have a great time. But back into the game, as you mentioned, Iceman and QQ did receive early damage there in both of those T69s. And it could be a real hindrance because right now, Uncro and Thoris over the horizon have found them both once again. Thoris and, I believe it was Uncro, actually missing the shells they needed to land, which is quite surprising, but they will not now. Iceman down to 8-3-2. Loser now comes sweeping in at 13-90, looking for the damage to be dealt. Hopefully gets to focus them down a touch, but Loser gets sent away with the tail between his legs as now Siege has to come through. 1-1-8-8 left towards Thoris, but the damage is being dealt solely towards playing Ducks at the moment. Loser still spinning through, does receive another shell, 4-1-9. No one finding the reply. There we go, finally. Thoris down to 9-3-9. Iceman being focused out, 3-3-6 towards him. Threaten splitting off towards the side. And now Yukai appears over the horizon. Threaten has taken down Iceman. QQ is in trouble. He's surrounded. Wu has to be involved. Thoris on 1 HP. He's still standing, but he does finally fall to the hands of Siege, but it's Uncro now surrounded by the opposition. He's on 306. He's surely going down. DJ Redeem did manage to take down the Loser, but it's not looking good at all for playing Ducks, who've just been absolutely obliterated by Odem Mortis, who still have a good couple of tanks to take down, though. Bear in mind, Wu still battling out with Yukai. Yukai sitting drastically on better health. I believe he's just coming off the reload, so it should be game over pretty darn soon for Wu. As you can see, DJ Red Deep coming through as well. Yukai is the one to deal that damaging blow, now leaving only Ayo alive, that T1 who can do little to nothing in this situation. As I've got to say it, Odem Mortis just handled that so well. The lack of connection, the lack of aim coming out from playing Ducks was rather worrying, but anyway, DJ Red Deep will land that final blow there, ramming down the one T1 who was left standing. And Odem Mortis, why did they not do that sooner?
I don't know, that was the Odem Mortis of old. That was
fantastic.
That was just perfect teamwork, well-executed strategy, everything went perfectly. And what really showed how it went perfectly was the fact that those Pershings were the only two that died. I mean, okay, if you don't lose a Pershing, that's fair enough, but if you're going to lose any two tanks, you lose those Pershing because they got the most armor, they got the most HP, 1,440, compared to the T69 with 100 less, 110 less, and the MX-90 with only 1.1k. So losing the Pershing's fine. It just means that they've absorbed the most damage, and they did. But the amount of damage they did, was incredible. Like, a Loser came from the side, got punished immediately because of the turret rotation. And even the fact that they managed to, hit the tracks and do no damage against Wuss and Fush, they still came back 6.5 seconds later and connected to the next shell with no punishment from playing Ducks at all. Yeah,
there was no reply there. Every time they tried to adapt, maybe go around the flank, try a different angle, it was just immediately met with resistance. There was no way through. So Odem Mortis, I'm loving those double Pershings on that map. That was a really nice bit of insight there. I'm certainly going to remember that, unlike him about the last play day. But I can't wait to see that be used a little bit more often. It really was a nice counter. The 1390s felt as though they were completely rendered useless almost. They in a little gnats buzzing around and it just does no damage. It's a bit of an annoyance.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed like that. But anyway, current scoreline is 2-1. But obviously with that draw involved, Odem Mortis need this next map to bring it back all even and go for the draw. They have to win this. And that's only to get them in with the draw points at 1 point rather than losing, which means obviously playing Ducks will go through with a massive advantage. So guys, let's keep our minds now towards the next map, which will be Mines. Now, this always comes down to the defining map, it seems. It's always the one to define the end scoreline in my eyes. But who do you think this one favours a little bit more? Because it's not quite like all the others. You can't go, oh, it's like, Prokhorovka. Oh, it's like this. Mines is its own kind of entity.
Yeah, Mines is really a map where you can't really say, okay, this team favours or this team favours it. I mean, it's really a map where every team has to practice on, every team has to train on, because once they go to Mines, they go to everything else, including Himmelsdorf and Ensk and Ruhenberg. It's just a map which has got everything in it. It takes a genius to play properly. It takes exceedingly good coordination with all your tanks. And heavy tanks are viable. We saw Mousesports take 2 or 3 of them against Native Finseria at the G-Force Cups. See, I remember stuff.
There we
Just
go.
about. I mean, it really can come down to everything, and I really love Mines. It's a great map. It's a shame we don't get to see it more, and often it's a replacement for Abbey because some teams consider it a little bit easier to play than Abbey. But
I like Mines because, as you mentioned, it's not just about those straight-up tactics. It's all about the execution, in my eyes, because it's such a symmetrical map. Basically, it's very similar to each other. You know basically what's going to be happening. It's all about that team synergy and kind of how they come together as a team. But guys, let's get into the tank picking because they are getting that underway, and I'm not sure what we're going to be seeing here. There's been a lot of adaptions coming out, and we are seeing a Pershing in the mix. So take us through what we're getting so far.
I think Odem Mortis is going to be picking the Pershing a lot more now they've seen how it works, and I wish they would pick it on Ensk and Himmelsdorf as well instead of that T69. But double T1 for Odem Mortis to start off with. T1 AMX 3090 for Playing Ducks, AMX 3090 T69 for OM, and T1 T69 for Playing Ducks. So the AMX 3090 is obviously going to be, for anything, that hill push. It doesn't have the gun depression once it's on the hill, so anything it's really good for is just making sure the other team realizes that they have got the firepower on the hill, so they can't push it. T69 Pershing for Odem Mortis, AMX 3090 T69 for Playing Ducks. Last pick for OM will be the Pershing as well. So going for that double Pershing lineup again, while Playing Ducks really happy just to play their triple, probably T69 double AMX 3090 lineup, or maybe the other way around with the triple MX 3090 double T69. So they're going to play the standard tactic, which I guess is okay, because if you have more MX 3090s, then you can push the hill because it is the faster tank. But you got to take in consideration the fact that the MX 3090 won't have the reload. You know, it'll still be sitting there trying to get some shells in the barrel, 39 seconds or so. So will that really come into effect? We'll have to wait and see. Will the Pershing be fast enough to actually deal with the MX 3090? Because obviously it will have reload. Or will it just go disastrously wrong and that Pershing might end up too slow altogether?
Yeah, so let's find out. It's going to be a hard one to call, but guys, let's get you an introduction video towards Mines.
Mines, the original and best World of Tanks 7-on-7 map famed for its incredible tactical opportunities. A small map being 800 by 800 meters. The map has 3 primary routes of attack: the left flank through the water, the middle area, and the town side. The key position on this map is the middle area, as it provides great firing positions and areas of attack for the team that holds it. The middle area's primary entrance is the road passing through the middle of the map. It is essential that the teams take key areas around the hill, both of which are situated just below the hill, the north side and the south side. These locations can provide for some amusing tactics. The hill isn't the only means of attack on Mines though. There's also a housing area towards the east side that has a fair few routes of attack and provides great cover for advancing tanks. The water area can be an option for teams, however the soft ground makes it very hard for tanks to traverse rapidly, but leads straight to the opponent's base.
Alrighty guys, so let's get into the 5th and final map. It's all dependent on this. Can Odem Mortis bring this back to make it a draw, or will it be a straight out loss if Playing Ducks play the way they have been? That last map showed you what Odem Mortis can do, but it's a very different situation here. As you said, it will be Mines in the north. It's going to be that golden yellow Playing Ducks, and in the south, in the blue, it's Odem Mortis. What are we seeing so far?
So it's right, and as I predicted in his AMX 3090, he's going to be pushing aggressively towards that hill. But the other side on Playing Ducks are just completely ignoring the hill, going towards that village housing area, as Joe kindly pointed out, knowing exactly what's going on. And Yukai's going to push up the hill as well. Pretty much the whole of Odem Mortis is actually going to push up. Really lucky, I guess, because you know, Playing Ducks are nowhere to be seen, and if they had the T69s there, which they have 3 of them, then they would have obliterated Odem Mortis. But obviously, they knew that not going to come up, decided to go for a different tactic, which is going to be the standard, trying to push tanks up the side of the hill, which we see pretty much from Playing Ducks every single time they play this map. So it's the most predictable thing they can do, and Odem Mortis know it, because you can see Yukai, Dr. Red D Deep, and Unkro all waiting and ready to really give them some pain. So, I mean, like, that sneaky tactic is no longer sneaky. It's just predictable. I don't know why teams still continue doing it. Regardless of the fact that you can get tanks on there without having to drive up the main part of the hill, it just seems a little bit dormant. Like, there should be another better thing to do than apart from just trying to drive up there.
Exactly. In my eyes, the problem is that normally if you aren't getting that big stack towards the hill, for example, you'll see that kind of initial spot coming out from those 1390s down to that initial entrance towards the hill. Normally that happens. And obviously without that there, they've got to go, oh, well, they're going to be on the hill. That's the only place they're going to be. And, well, as you can see, Odem Mortis are well aware of that now. Unkro already taking a loser down to 900 HP. And I'm not sure what execution they can get from here. Obviously, they do have those T69s waiting around that right flank, but they'd have to break through forcefully to allow at least some sort of leeway for the rest of the Playing Ducks to come through.
One of the strategies they can do, though, is just push straight off the hill and just collapse onto those 3 tanks sitting up on the hill, because it's exactly what Playing Ducks do. I mean, Odem Mortis must have watched the replays of these guys, and they must have seen that it's their standard tactic, and once they have those tanks up there, then they just put the rest behind the hill, and Odem Mortis has spot a couple of those tanks behind the hill already. So they should have just pushed off, really caught Playing Ducks by surprise. Ram is also going to push across the lighthouse kind of island. He's going to be trying to get some information. If he can get taken out very quickly, but I think he's found himself a bit of cover behind that rock. So he's going to be all right. And he's obviously got threaten in his AMX-3090 from behind. But look at Odem is coming off the hill now.
Yeah, they've got to be doing it because Playing Ducks are making their move. 4 tanks now pushing their way right down that 4 and 5 line. QQ going low, Wu going low, Loser as well, just about escaping. Siege was yet to receive a shell until then. 6-3-4 left towards him. Thren being the initial target. He's going to be focused out immediately. 398, 165. He is out of there. Siege claims that one, but the rest of Odem Mortis lining themselves up, looking like they want to get this one underway. They know what they've got in store, but Yukai receives a shell, gets a reply towards QQ. They're going to be piling in towards QQ and Wu. Uncro splits off, does get Siege down low, as Yukai managing to find QQ. In the meantime, DJ Red Deep and Thoris now looking towards Wu. He's down to 74. He's going to be falling in a matter of seconds. There he goes, and Odem Mortis look like they're going to be taking this as a draw right now, unless Loser and Iceman can do something magical. Both completely separated, both so far apart. Iceman late to the party. Thoris checking out exactly where he is, hot on his heels, and you can see that Loser is not in much of a better place. He's down fairly low, 765. Iceman 1095 as well, and this is a troublesome position for Morty, especially now that Thoris is chasing him down.
He's going to get on the chase as quickly as he can, and obviously Iceman now on reload, probably about halfway through that. Loser does take down Uncro, so it doesn't look like Playing Ducks are using some fantastic play just to get themselves back into this after going disastrously down, but it's going to be Dr. Deep and Thoris against Iceman.
2v1 right now. Iceman has to go absolutely huge. It's almost out of his hands. 1 shell left to do something incredible with. He gets 1 shell towards DJ Red Deep, but Thoris now looks like he wants to punish him. He's coming around. They're almost up off the reload. It's going to be a terrible, terrible time for Iceman. HP trickling away. 98 HP left. DJ Red Deep coming in from the side. 23 HP left. He'll deal the damaging blow. And now just about a Loser stands in a 1v3 up against DJ Red Deep, Thoris and Ram. He's got 5 shells, I believe, and that's just about it. And I don't think he's got enough to do what it takes here. But let's see if he can pull something out. 5 minutes and 15 on the board. Who knows? We've seen 1v3s before. We've seen clutch moments, but can the star player do it today? It's going to be a hard task. He's focusing initially down towards Thoris, but DJ Red Deep hanging around in the back. Oh, first shell connecting perfectly. He's not going to be going anywhere. Thoris is taking him low, but lovely connection. 3 HP left towards Thoris. Can he take him down? 4 minutes and 55 left. 1 more shell and he's good, but oh, there's that T1 splitting off. That's why they're in play. You can see Ram has got the cap point going, and the Loser is on 15 HP. He's got nowhere to run and hide. He's going to have to face the music, and DJ Red Deep seems as though he wants to be the one to make it count. And will he get the shell connection? Yes, he will. And Odem Mortis actually pulling it all the way back for a draw here. Wow. Why could we not see that from the very start there?
It's like they woke up. I'm not sure exactly what, if they had their cup of coffee or what, but, you know, Thoris 2.2k damage in his Pershing then. And really, like,
Insane.
it seemed to be the Pershing that was really their wake-up call. Like, as soon as they started using that double Pershing lineup, like, the whole of Odem Mortis just seemed to come alive. And what was great about that tactic was the fact that they allow Playing Ducks to just make the first move. On the other games, it was always Odem Mortis making the first move. Correct. And once they got out of position, they did take down. I was talking about this earlier. You know, they did take that AMX-3090, but they sacrificed so much HP and positioning advantages that they just had no chance. And Odem Mortis just had to play it cool. They didn't play it perfectly, but they played it cool. Yep. And they finished off the tanks. And at the end of the day, it was 2 versus 1. And although, you know, a Loser could have done it, 1,440 damage if he got average damage, and there was only 1.1k left on the other 2 tanks. But 2 against 1, it's almost impossible.
Especially with that T1 in play. And,
true, yeah,
you know, it's so hard to be able to kind of deal with every single aspect of what is kind of hard about mines in one situation. But it's the way the cookie crumbles, so it is a draw overall. Odem Mortis managing to pull it back on the last 2 maps to keep themselves in with at least a chance this season. They're struggling in comparison to how they used to play, but seeing those last 2 maps showed you exactly what they can do. And when they get it right, when they get that kind of composition down, they are a dangerous, dangerous team. But first game down, let's kind of find out exactly what the people at home thought, because I thought that was going to be an Odem Mortis win.
I thought as well, but it can go anywhere. These two, you know, you got to remember these two are German teams. They probably practice a lot against each other. So on any given day, it could have been a win for either one. But they're as good as each other, and that's what's proven here today.
True. So let's find out what you guys at home were thinking about that one, and take you back over to the lovely Melly, who's waiting in the wings to take you through the prediction. So what did the people at home think of that one?
Well, 50% and 50%.
Wow.
So people at home weren't really sure how it is. Well, at least they had faith in both teams. the same amount of faith, obviously. So, and the comments in our challenge were also pretty mixed, but showed a close one.
Did anyone get the scoreline right?
I have no clue. I haven't looked it up yet because I was handling the questions that came in. So let me copy paste it over here and quickly roam over to our Facebook page, facebook.com WoT Pro League, where you can, well, follow us and get updates to our shows and everything else, and of course the chance for winning bonus codes. 4 minutes ago someone predicted a 2 and 2, and no.
Wow.
No, 4-1, 3-1. always 3-1 OM and 3-1 plain duck. So the predictions were really mixed. So you can't say, we have a single person guessing a 2 and 2 48 minutes ago. So that's legit, I think.
Wow.
Found a winner.
We have. Congratulations to them.
So that was kind of unpredictable.
Play the lottery as well.
Yep.
Probably win that.
Yeah.
That's true. So, as you guys know, you have the chance to ask questions to experts via Twitter by the use of hashtag WoT Pro League. So if you have anything that you want to ask our former pro gamer and our top caster, just head over to Twitter and...
I'll take that title.
I'm not even a former pro gamer. I'm not even a former pro gamer anymore. This is painful.
She's probably been a lot more pro gamer than I have.
Well, I meant in World of Tanks.
I mean, it's a bit of an easy game, COD, but... Yeah.
Well, we are all former pro gamers.
All right, what's that?
That's why we're sitting here.
Good point.
Okay. But it's not too late. Pansy, we can
I'll go through the training regime with Ollie.
Exactly. Next year we will have another caster because Pansy and I will play in the WoT Pro League.
Or I'll just be fired. It's either or. It's quite likely both ways.
No. We will keep you. I'll keep you.
Yay.
Start your own team.
For 1 week. For one show, it was already painful enough. So, okay. Let's get to the questions.
Oh, Jesus, there's questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't that be plural?
No, it's good. Here are the questions. What do we have?
Two.
Okay.
Don't scare people for asking.
We like questions.
Yes, of course you do.
No,
you should have seen that.
I get abused. I want Stephen back. I really want Stephen back.
No, we like you.
Okay. Hitting me, it's nice. Right?
Okay. Do you have any clue if there will be new city maps announced and a new update?
I have no idea. I know there's not in the next update in 8.9. It's not going to be a city map. It's a map called Northwest, which I believe represents the northwest of America. So it's going to be an American map.
That's kind of cool.
It looks kind of like a Corellia, kind of swamps, bit of I don't know, live oaks maybe. It's a bit of a hybrid between a few and I think Live Oaks is a British map actually. I don't know, but it looks alright. I'm not sure about city maps, so probably will introduce another one. We've got like Ruhenberg. We've got quite a few, but I'm not sure if people really count like Siegfried Line and stuff as a city map. But I want to see like another Himmelsdorf. So we've had no map apart from Himmelsdorf that is just 100% no green at all.
Yeah, I'd like that a little bit more of a city focus.
Another really big city map. That'd be nice wargaming.
Please.
Okay, and Nico also wanted to know from which tier the upcoming second German TD line will have autoloaders.
It's only going to be the tier 10, so you either pick, I think it's 120 millimeter or 150 millimeter. Both have the autoloader. Obviously, apparently, well, it's going to be like a glass cannon, I believe. So you're going to have both of them going to do a lot of damage. I think if you get the 150 millimeter, you have these 4-shell autoloader or the 3. If you have the 120, you'll probably get all 6 shells or maybe just 4. I'm not sure. But it's going to be one of those tanks where you do a lot of damage, but then you receive a lot of damage. So you just got to run in, do as much damage as you can, kind of run away as well. So I think it's only tier 10, but I'm not a developer, so I have no idea.
Thank you. And will the TD line be based on armor or high alpha damage?
As I just said, high alpha damage, high DPM, a lot of just run and gun.
Do damage, run away.
Yeah, exactly, run and gun.
Okay, got it. Perfect. if you have any questions left, head over to Twitter, use the hashtag WoT Pro League, and yeah, get in the race to the 3 tweets of the day. You will be rewarded for tweeting. So, for having fun, isn't that great? You get presents for doing nice stuff. Actually, I want to sit at home and get bonus codes. Well, the next thing, Pansy, the community missed you as much as I did.
That's what I like to hear.
And a warm welcome.
Hear that, Stephen. I'm liked.
Stephen, I love you. I want you back. Just going to say that.
Don't make me hit you again with my card.
I spent 20 hours in a car with Stephen this weekekend. It's brought us closer together,
person.
man.
And you survived that.
Just about, yeah.
Wow.
It was not a pleasant environment for many hours, but it was right.
Ouch.
And one last nice tweet from Will. Nice to see non-auto loaders tanks making a comeback.
Yeah, it's true. I agree.
Completely agree with that.
That rarely happens, right?
Yeah, it's creeping their way back into the game, and that's fantastic. Just to show that it's not all about taking down that one tank and just winning off that. It's about consistent damage, consistent results, and it's really important to show coming back.
Okay, thank you very much. That was all.
That was it.
Alrighty, so you've heard it there. That's how you guys can get involved. Obviously, Twitter and Facebook, it's fairly simple, guys. Gives you a chance of getting some bonus codes. You get your questions answered, and you get to talk to the lovely Melly. So it's pretty good stuff all in all, really. So get involved. I'd love to hear your questions as well, even though I'm not quite the pro gamer, apparently, anymore. You know, I've hung up my mouse and headset. It's over. You know, it's just him. Anyway, my sadness aside, we do still have another game coming up in just a moment. And after the break, it will be Mouse Sports against Evil Panda Squad, 2 very big community favorites going head-to-head. So guys, don't go anywhere. Get your predictions coming out already. Make sure you start thinking about the game. Look onto the WoTProLeague.com website. Check out the rankings. Look through their previous games and try and get a little bit of an edge ahead, possibly to get yourself some bonus codes. So guys, we'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes. Hopefully, you'll be there as well.